Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Chagrin Documentary Film Festival panel discussion with Miss Audrey Leach, director, producer, and editor of our closing documentary and Audrey's debut feature film, Full Out Inside Ohio Show Choir. For a bit about Audrey, she's a recent graduate from NYU Tisch Film and TV. She is a former co-director of the Fusion Film Festival and is currently working at, is it pronounced Leroy?
Leroy, yeah.
Leroy, awesome. Leroy, as a junior editor, a company who takes on major clients such as HBO, Vice, A24, Google, Netflix, Fox, and more for video campaigns. Audrey is also the co-host of Sleepover Cinema, which she hosts with her sister, who is also the other half of her production company, Two Pink Pictures. So, Miss Audrey, can you talk to us about your path to show choir, filmmaking, and later making this film?
Yes. Okay, so basically what happened was I was a junior at NYU, and around that time is when you need to start thinking about what your like senior film is going to be, or like what you're going to make that could potentially like lead to something else. Like they call it like a calling card, I think.
Okay.
Calling card project.
Nice.
And so I had been focused on making like narrative scripted stuff through the other years, like the first 3 years at school. And then my sister and I always had this idea of like making a documentary about show choir in Ohio, because we were both a part of it. And it's like a super insular world. And it's kind of like, if you don't know, you simply do not know. Like there's no even people who live in Ohio, people who go to the schools where they have really nice show choirs, really big choirs, they don't even know what goes on in that world. So approaching my senior year, I was like, I think now is the time to do it, because I didn't have any better ideas for scripted stuff, and I thought it would be fun to like change genre. So that's what ended up happening. And we so I guess it all started in like 2018, and then did a Kickstarter campaign for it, which was successful, but because there's a ton of people who care so much about show choir.
It's a very passionate ecosystem, right?
Yeah, extremely. So that's kind of how it came about. And then we filmed it from summer 2018 to spring 2019. So like the full kind of school year, of like when the show choir year starts to when they compete.
Got it. I love that. How was, because you're in New York and obviously all these show choirs are in Ohio, what was your production process like with like constantly commuting from state to state? How many trips did you have? Were there crazy hiccups along the way? Would love all the production details.
Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely go every month, like at least once, but it was insane. Honestly, looking back, it's like, I would fly out on like Friday or Thursday usually, and then come back super early on Monday, and then go to class like immediately after that.
Yeah, that's mad.
Really rough. And I feel like everyone else is like, you literally don't have to do this. Like you're like putting it on yourself.
Right. Like you could have made this easier on yourself, but alas.
Yeah, like, and that nobody typically makes a feature for their senior thesis, because honestly, it makes sense to not make a feature as your senior thesis for a lot of reasons, but also even just for like programming and festivals reasons. Like it's a lot easier as a young filmmaker to get a short programs, you know? So there's a lot of reasons why it makes more sense. But so yeah, I would go like every month, sometimes more than once a month. And then once the winter came and competitions started, like the initial competitions we thought we would go to got really messed up and like canceled. There's always competition cancellations. It's pretty much a guarantee because of it's Ohio and the weather is awful.
Right.
So
Constant blizzards, ice.
Yeah. So we had to like make a lot of last minute switches, but it was really important that our choirs like saw each other. Like if they don't ever converge anywhere, then like that's a problem. So
like, where's that unity point between all four of these different choirs? Gotcha.
Yeah, and they never did meet all together at once, but we got two. Right. So it kind of worked out, but yeah, the initial idea was to have them converge all at once, which if that had happened, I don't know how we would have like survived that day, because
right. Were you thinking about hosting your own competition to get like all four of them in the room, or like what was your initial vision with getting everyone together?
It was like I think there was a competition that just so happened to have all four, I'm pretty sure.
Ooh, okay.
There was no situation where I was going to like stage it, because I just don't think I could do that. Like the logistics of that, it's too much.
Right.
And also I do want it to be real. Like I was going for like a verite feel, like you're in there and in the room with them. So it just ended up that they never met. All four groups never converged, but it's okay, because it's kind of like the more elite groups compete and then the less elite groups compete. But the eliteness of those groups is only determined by like their budget, not talent or anything else. And that's a big part of the movie too, is like the discrepancies between funding between all these different public schools, and how that actually completely determines the success of a show choir. Like it's not even like objective. Like that's just the truth of it. Right. But when you're in the groups and you've been working like on your own in a show choir for like a year, you're not thinking about that at all. It's just like, are we gonna win, or are we not? And like the actual factors that contribute to that are super stacked. Like it's like kind of rigged in a way, just based on county funding, essentially.
A little bit about like students returning their Christmas presents to like fund their show choir experience was like so sad and so touching. I felt for them. I'm like, oh my goodness. Are you hoping to use your film as more of like an impact piece to kind of vouch for school funding for the arts? Because that was such a huge subject of your film. I don't know if you were looking to export it elsewhere to kind of advocate for that.
That would be awesome. I mean, that was definitely like, it's like the underlying theme, I guess, other than all of the, not even really underlying, it's just there.
Yeah.
But like, other than just like all the fun stuff, that is like the real message of it, I guess, is just appreciating, obviously like appreciating the arts in public schools, but also like supporting them so they can actually change kids' lives, because they do, you know. So yeah, that would be awesome. Like I have thought about that, like showing it in an educational setting kind of thing. But mostly I just wanted it to be a good time, like a fun thing to watch, and like it's just so specific, the whole thing.
Right. Well, you definitely achieved that. It felt very nostalgic and joyful, and it was just such a fun film to watch. And like you said, also had that kind of like higher message as well with your show choirs. All four of them feel so distinct and so full-bodied. You did such a good job in the edit of like spending enough time with each show choir and all the individuals and making it make sense. I think you said in your update video, you said you had over 150 hours of footage. What was your process with like dissecting all of that and kind of discovering how you want the film to look, or do you already have kind of like a vision for how you wanted the piece to come into fruition?
Well, it was helpful that like it's a chronological film. So like no matter what scenes end up in it, you do have this like structure of a year to help guide you. And so there were so many scenes that I loved, that I wanted so bad, because they would be just something like ridiculous, just something that is just so, no, like this does not exist anywhere else. But of course, you know, most of it has to like hit the floor. Especially for like, there's kind of like my cut of it that is like longer, and then there's like the actual like the festival cut of it that is a lot more compact.
Right.
But yeah, it was kind of like finding a balance between each school and like showing enough for you to understand who they are, like as people as well as a group. It's hard when you have like literally 100 people, like Solon is like 100 people in a group, and like trying to portray them as a unit is difficult. So that's why we had the like pinpointed students in each group to try to like help just drag everybody through what's actually going on.
Right.
And the directors of each choir had a say. I think we asked them like who would be good as a featured student, and then it was sort of like a combination of who they thought would be good and who we thought, like my sister and I thought would be. And every time we would go to a school, we would like interview those people so we could get like the monthly update kind of thing.
Got it.
So that's what really kind of guided us. And also like my sister Hannah and I, we did take the time to like take post-its and try to lay it all out.
Yeah.
But what ended up being the film and like what the idea was, they're not that far. And I think that's because it is chronological.
Got it. That's awesome. I was wondering if you guys had selected students, because everyone kind of feels like a main character, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know if that was organic when you guys started shooting. You were like, oh my goodness, this person is just such a wonderful speaker, or if it was selected. So that's cool to know. What was your casting process with the 4 different show choirs? Did you already have relationships with most of them? Obviously, you're from Solon, so you probably had that direct link. But were the other ones more of an open call, or did you already have those relationships established with them?
It was, so yeah, Solon, we were just kind of like, I hope they say yes, but like there was no guarantee that they would say yes. But they were like the first people that we asked, and then and they were down for it. I mean, it's hard like looking back, like the fact that we asked a bunch of public schools to like let us come in and film teenagers with, like, it is kind of a lot. It's a kind of a big ask. So I was definitely intimidated going into it. Like, I just feel like they were gonna say no, or like they're gonna have all these like stipulations or rules. And we did an open call video and just put it on like everything, and we're like, help, basically, like we need a few groups. And then so Garfield Heights we had always been like aware of, because when Hannah and I were competing, they were always around, and they were like a really fun group. Like you could just feel their like happy energy, like they were just happy to be there, but they were also very fun to watch. So we wanted to ask them, and we found them back in 2018. We went to Solon Music and Motions Invitational to try to like garner some interest,
Yeah,
which was really awkward. Yeah, it was. I was like,
was it awkward because you were like older and it's all high schoolers? Was that?
Yeah, it's like, this is like actually my worst nightmare, but like, what am I gonna do? Like,
right, back in high school again. Here we are.
Yeah, but so we went. That's how we got in contact with Garfield and Strongsville. They were both at that competition, and they were so easy about it. They're just like, yeah, I'll like ask my administration, but yeah, like I'm down for that. And then Ross is in like Southern Ohio, so that one was kind of, I had never actually, I was aware of them because they changed their name a few years ago. But I think somebody tagged someone in the group on one of our social media accounts, and then we talked to them and they were down too, but they were like kind of far away.
Right.
But it ended up being an interesting, even like within Ohio, like a different cultural, kind of a different cultural experience because they're almost in like Kentucky
Wow.
and they
Appalachian territory. Here we are.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just like pretty in the middle of, it's not like Cleveland, it's not like it's near a big city. It is near Cincinnati, but I haven't spent much time in Cincinnati. So I'm glad that we got to know them because they were also a really fun group and like they did things within their calendar year that like the groups in Northeastern Ohio don't do, like that I know of.
What were
So
the
yeah.
added calendar activities? Like different types of rehearsing, or did they do like,
Yeah.
I think they were the one who did the little obstacle course, right?
Yeah, like they
Okay.
like went to a camp and they went to like a YMCA camp thing on the weekend and like they had a really like almost like a football type of sportsmanship vibe.
Yeah.
Like their student director Jake Common, who's featured in the film, like the way that he talks to the choir is so sporty. And I
Mhm.
think I'm pretty sure he did play football in high school, so that makes sense. But just he'll get them in the huddle and just be like, "This is gonna be the best. Like this is the best competition year we're ever gonna have." Like,
Full amp up. Here we go, guys.
yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so much fun. Let me see what other questions I have for you. This is fun. Are you having fun?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
fun.
Yay, talking movies.
Yeah.
I have another kind of funding related question. So you mentioned that a lot of these schools, the other students don't even realize there's a show choir, even though it's such a huge, activity and we're all fussing around and moving about. What do you think can be done in terms of just like the school and the city at large to get people aware of this sport and this artistic endeavor and things like that? It's kind of like a larger question.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard too because like every county is so different, like the way they operate. There's only so much because like it's like with the tax levies and everything, if you can't even, if the citizens of a city can't pass a levy, like there is essentially like the show choir just doesn't really have it stand a chance. Like as far as competing goes, they can exist and um, they can do what they can, but like it's just kind of an unfair system, and you could like really just use that even as like a metaphor for like the rest of the world.
Right.
But as far as like awareness goes, I think I don't know. It's like you could do like public performances within like for the city or like at city-based events. That would be good. But I don't know. The arts, they have a hard time. Like show choir has a hard time in the public eye, especially and in some cities, it's not like cool. Like it's not like a popular thing to do.
Right.
So that also adds to it. But I don't know, all those people just need to open their eyes to this like kind of bizarre art form that has like formed out of choir. Like it's just really I don't know, it's just unique.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I don't know how to solve the problem, but I think like making this film was sort of like a way to express all those feelings about it without like in a way where people are like open to receiving it.
Making it seem fun, exciting. Let's get in the world
Yeah.
and then talk about the larger issues of, hey, yes, the funding usually goes to football and basketball and things like that, but we're here too, and we're a life-changing group, and there's such a legacy as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, and some cities and like the people are really into it and then others not at all. It's just interesting. It's like a cultural difference.
Right. With Solon, for you guys, what did you guys really feel like the community love and support with your school? Because I used to compete back in high school, and Solon was just like the holy grail team. Like we all talked about you guys, loved watching your shows, and it just seemed like you guys had such a strong community. Was that the feeling when you were in Solon, or not as much, still isolated?
Which group were you in?
I was in Talmadge High Definition. It was
yes.
Yeah, we were like the first. I was in it for the first year that we were competing, so we were very like ragtag underdogs, but we had an absolute blast and huge.
Yeah.
We all still talk about it. It's it really leaves a legacy. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. My grandparents, my mom and my grandparents, like my mom grew up in Talmadge, but my grandparents still live there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's such a cute little town.
Yeah, it is. Did I feel so? I feel like, yeah, I definitely did. And the arts are so supported in Solon, like to a really unusual level. It's kind of like they just go hard in everything because Solon has a lot of industrial like tax money. And there's like a lot of companies and like corporations that have their businesses in Solon, and I think that that's a huge part of the reason why Solon has a lot of money to spend on their like extracurricular groups. So like you'll end up like the kids do pay a few $100s each in Solon, but you look at the actual budget of their show compared to the budget of like Garfield's show and how much each kid is paying. They're paying way more in Garfield to do, to be less successful, like competition wise.
Right. Less flame,
yeah,
smoke, all that jazz.
Yeah. So like I totally did feel supported. It was almost like the arts community at like Solon High School is like its own world in itself. Like nobody really bothered that, like nobody really bothered like the drama kids or whatever. It just felt like its own thing. But it's also super insular. So like when I was actually in high school, I wasn't thinking about how supported I was. And like that's like the best case scenario, I guess, is that like kids just are supported and they don't even have to think about it. So like that's a high level of privilege in itself.
No spirit of neglect there, just being able to have the freedom to do your own thing.
Yeah. And just the stress, like there's just not, all they have to think about is winning. Like it was just crazy.
Right.
It is really crazy.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. Let me see. I have an emerging filmmaker question for you. So I saw that you were awarded 2 different grants, which is so exciting. What was your process funding the film? I know you mentioned that you had a Kickstarter, and what was your process applying for these grants and then later being awarded that?
So yeah, the Kickstarter was so stressful because I chose the option of like all or nothing.
Oh,
like
wow.
It's like, yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, totally.
So it's like you hit your goal or you don't get any of it, obviously.
Ooh, yeah.
So I don't know why, in retrospect, I think I just wanted that like urgency, because like it does make sense in one way to choose all or nothing, but also like you will go crazy. So it's a trade-off.
Right.
And we raised 10K. And then after that, and we kind of used, we would like ask all our friends or people that were associated with show choir to talk about the impact that it had on their lives. And so we would like post a video of a different person every day and like keep pushing. It was really like a grind for a month. I think it was 30 days or something. It was maybe 30 or 60 days. And we got there. And so that ended up being enough to cover like pretty much all of production. And then later on within NYU, they had grants that they would give. And you did apply, but I think I was kind of like prompted to apply for them because there's not many people in the documentary program, like as an undergrad in the senior level doc class. Like there's just like, there was like maybe 12 of us. Like there's not many of us. So my professor, Jim Brown, he was really supportive and like prompted me to apply to certain things kind of, but they were grants through NYU. Yeah, so that's kind of how that happened.
I love that. That must have been immensely stressful with the all or nothing. Like you said, it's like,
yeah,
you have so much dedication now because it's quite literally on the line, but it's like, oh goodness, why'd I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
literally day one I was like already in tears. I was like, no, this is not a good idea.
Right, it's like I already have a lesson for next time and it's not to do this.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, would we have gotten there had the all or nothing not been there? Like, I don't know, because you really are like
on it.
Yeah, like
you're
kind of putting pressure on your loved ones.
Exactly. It's like, if you love me, please help me make this documentary. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't feel good. The whole process doesn't feel good, but it's kind of necessary. So I couldn't. NYU gives you a little bit of money, but they don't give you like anything that will cover your costs. So yeah.
The joys of filmmaking. The art form is one thing, and then making it happen is just like a whole other expedition.
Yeah.
Another question for you. So you mentioned that you started off kind of in the narrative mindset, and then this subject is kind of what pulled you into documentary. Do you have any hopes to make any other documentaries in the future now that you've already experienced it?
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoy, and also as an editor, like I really enjoy documentary kind of more than narrative, because by the time you get to post-production and narrative, it's like, okay, we know what we're gonna make here. Like most of the heavy lifting is on the post or on the pre-production side and the production side, and then once you get to post, it's like, okay, let's breathe, you know. But documentary is like the complete opposite. So as an editor, it's more fun. Like I definitely enjoy editing like raw scenes rather than like scripted scenes more. And also it's just fun to like insert yourself into rooms that you never ever would have been in.
Right.
And like you had just no reason to be there. I think the like social aspect of it is fun, and also you meet just so many people that you otherwise would have never met. And now I know all of these like younger Ohio show choir people, like, you know, I guess they'd be 3 to like 7 years younger than me, which is so fun and like has given me new appreciation for it. But yeah.
Do you feel like you're going to be like a mentor to these kids? Like, are they going to come to you and be like, I want to be a filmmaker now, I'm so inspired by you? It seems like so comfortable on camera. Was like the relationship building very easy for you? Were there any challenges with that, and kind of certain relationships had to be earned?
Yeah, well, some of the kids, like the Solon kids, a lot of them I've known since they were like 10 or younger.
Yeah.
Because I was like a summer camp counselor, like for theater camp and stuff. So I knew them when they were really little. So that was easy. And then as far as the kids from the other schools, some of them are just so outgoing on their own that it wasn't hard to like get in there and like get their real opinions. But definitely, because Hannah usually would ask the questions and I would usually be running camera. And it's just kind of, Hannah's good at asking the questions, like she's very outgoing and sociable. So, but yeah, I think they were just like willing, I think us being younger too, us being close to their age and kind of similarly minded was really easy. It was like easy for them to open up to us because they knew that we understood what they were saying, and they knew that they could trust us because like we've been a part of it. I think if I had been, if I had been even like 30 or something, I think it would have like changed the dynamic a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's like an intruder coming in as opposed to kind of member of the team just having a conversation.
Yeah, like there was just not all the directors knew that we weren't going to be like exploitative about it. They kind of knew what the end goal was, which is like a love letter to show choir. That's what one of the directors, the director from Garfield, called it that, and that's pretty much true. Like that's what there's drama, there's like things go wrong sometimes, but like at the end of the day, as in the end of the film, it's about the community and just having fun, basically. But yeah,
it's been fun for us too. Like I said earlier, it's been such a joy to like watch the film and experience all these show choirs and the wonderful dynamics and community elements of everyone. So yeah. Oh, well, this has been so much fun. I have one last question for you, and it's your usual "What's next for Audrey?" question. What do you have on the table? What's going on moving forward?
Well, so yeah, the podcast will continue into eternity. I don't know when. I don't know. That's gonna keep happening. It's called Sleepover Cinema, and it's like my sister and I talking about movies from our youth, basically. Like all the big hitters for people like around our age, like Princess Diaries or like
Legally Blonde
or Legally Blonde. Yeah, like literally all that. So there's that. I'm still working at Leroy, so I'm always kind of working on a lot of things for them. So that's going to continue. And then as far as this film goes, I'm going to keep like submitting it to festivals, see what happens there. And then, I will get back up to the stamina level to like make something else, but something that Hannah and I had talked about making that would be really fun to make would be probably I don't know if it would be a feature, but like a documentary about Cleveland drag.
Ooh, I love that.
Queens in Cleveland. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So, excited for that. Keep us posted.
Yeah. I don't know if that will exist, but it's an idea we've had. So maybe
a possibility. Exciting.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a joy to discuss Full Out with you and get to know you a little bit through Zoom. Message to the audience.
Yeah.
Full Out Inside Ohio Show Choir is going to be playing in our virtual cinemas throughout the duration of the film festival and in person on Sunday, October 10th at 5:30 p.m. And thanks for joining us in for this conversation. And thank you, Audrey, for being here. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much.